Howdy folks, it's rjhelms here, and I'm back with another series of OpenTTD. It's been a while. I think it's been about a month, maybe even more, since the last time I recorded any OpenTTD and put it online. We wrapped up that passenger-only game using CargoDist, and one of the suggestions I got was to do a game on a bigger map with FIRS as the industry replacement set, and so I'm going for that way. We'll see how well this works. I remain not terribly experienced with FIRS. I've been playing with it kind of in my downtime a little bit for the last month or so. I still haven't mastered it, but I figured I would just jump right in. So here we're playing on a pretty huge game. Let's go take a look at our settings. So as far as NewGRF settings, I've got the FIRS industry replacement set, and I've got it on the full FIRS economy. I'm using a bunch of things that are familiar from before. I've still got the OpenGFX BigGUI, and the North American Rule Set, Aviators, and eGRVTS for the vehicle replacement. I've also added in HEQS, which is just another vehicle set that adds some really cool things for an industry game. Kind of heavy trams and things like that. Well, heavy vehicles in general, but some of them, it's the trams that I find really interesting. You can kind of, if you want to connect a station or an industry to a station that's just out of the catchment area, but don't, you need something better than trucks, but don't need a full train. There's some really cool things in HEQS that make that possible. I'm using the World Cities Town Names GRF just for fun, and Squid Ate FISH, which is a pretty funny name, is a ship replacement set that goes well with the rest of these vehicle GRFs that I've got in and works well with FIRS. I'm running the release candidate 1 of 1.5.3, mostly just because of that bug that I ran into before with the settings UI not playing nice with the OpenGFX or the BigGUI. That fix wasn't in 1.2, but it is in 1.3, so I've moved off the nightlies and I'm going to track the 1.3 release for this series and probably stay there. Not too much else to talk about as far as settings. There's a few things. For physics, I've got a freight train weight multiplier of 5 and a plane speed factor of 1:1. Those are mostly just for realism with the GRFs that we're using. And is there anything else? I've got breakdowns off. I've got my station spread set to 7 tiles, or 12 tiles. Like before, I might expand that if I need to. Yeah, breakdowns are off. Disasters are off. Recessions are off. Plane crashes are on, but I don't know how much there's going to be planes in this game. And everything else is pretty much at default. So I am playing on a really big map here. I think this map is, if we zoom all the way out, yeah, it's 20... It's big enough that it lags my game to try to scroll around it. It's 2048 by 4096, which makes the total map about 2 million tiles. And I've got towns set to low and industries set to high. So the map right now is absolutely crawling with all sorts of different types of industries. Those will drop off as time goes on. That's why I've started with high, because there's no way that I'm going to be able to serve even the tiniest fraction of this map in any reasonable length of time. And so industries will start to go out of business, and so just to make sure that as time goes on I'm not left with none, I've started with a lot more than I'm going to want. Starting in 1935, as opposed to 1950, just to keep some of the challenge up maybe at the beginning. And I guess the real question is, what do we want to start doing? This is where FIRS gets pretty daunting. If you go to the... Where's the one you want to see? Industry chains. There's a huge variety of industries. And they have some pretty complicated production chains. So for example, this brewery here takes manufacturing supplies, fruit and grain, and makes alcohol, which goes to hotels and grocery stores, which also accept multiple things. And you can see that fruit is made at a fruit plantation, arable farms make grain, and then a lot of things make manufacturing supplies. And that's a big interesting part of the FIRS game is these supplies: engineering supplies, building materials, manufacturing supplies. For example, engineering supplies go to a lot of things that otherwise don't really have inputs, like a bauxite mine. What inputs does it have? And what the engineering supplies do is they will increase the production of the mines. So in that way, you can have some pretty interesting supply chains. I'm not sure what to really start with. Let's look at the charts and look at the cargo payment rates, which is kind of mind-bogglingly huge, and find something that's a good, profitable bulk cargo. Coal's not so interesting in this game. Scrap metal has really high payment rates. I'm not sure what produces scrap metal. Recycling plants and junkyards. They need recyclables. What about junkyard? See a junkyard on the map. One here. Yeah, see, it produces more with engineering supplies delivered. So if I deliver 21 crates within 3 months, production will double, and if I deliver 84 crates, production will quadruple. Let's see, do recycling plants actually produce anything in the absence of inputs, is my question. Alternately, are there any? Doesn't seem so. So I have to build a recycling plant. Well, there's plenty of junkyards. I mean, I'm not thrilled about that idea of, I'll keep opening the wrong maps here, of having my company be a junk company. Actually, one thing I want to check before I get any farther is my distribution settings. Yeah, so I have this. This is what I wanted. I've got passengers, mail, and armored cargo classes on symmetric, which is the cargo distribution game as we know, but my other cargo classes are on manual. Manufacturing supplies are pretty good. What's that? Gasoline. So oil refineries and biorefineries. Actually, I think the oil supply chain might be a good place to start. It produces chemicals and gasoline, which have a lot of outputs. So let's start with that. I want to check one more thing, which is that my yes. I just wanted to make sure that I was working in a supply chain that delivered that eventually could produce farm supplies and engineering supplies, and that does appear to be the case. So it's just a question of finding our industries to build at. If I go to the industry directory, which shows a way to filter this. The Stockholm oil wells have a pretty huge production, which is great. 224,000 liters of oil, but basically 224 units of cargo. Okay, maybe down to this. Refinery. Stockholm oil wells to Kuwait refinery, that sounds realistic, is a good way to go. I'm going to jump right in with electrified. And for my cargo trains, I'm going to go for a train length of 7 tiles. Oh, so I got to unpause the game. Good thing, because that was a misclick. And I'm going to build this somewhat roomy from there, because there's a lot of other industries here. So this might actually end up being a pretty big hub station. I might, serve some of these other industries from the station as well. I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to make this one 4 tiles, but for now they're just going to be a really bare bones network. I'm going to come out with 7 tiles. And it's just going to be a point-to-point network, so to speak. And we'll improve it as time goes on. Alright, signal up the inputs, or the exits. And just come across. Make a nice, very wide diagonal here. Another one here, and then join them up. Not bad for a guess. And get a deep one in place. This is all going to need to be improved later, of course. So I want to go by power and see what I have that is powerful. If I look at things that can carry oil, the only vehicle I have available to me now is the 40-foot tank car, which is a maximum speed of 112 kilometers an hour, which is important to think about because that might determine my choice of vehicle. So, for example, this one is more powerful, the Pennsylvania GG1, than the 210-4 Selkirk. But we're not actually going to see the speed, so I think the Selkirk's a better choice because this costs more to run, it costs more to buy. It is a bit more powerful, but we're not going to benefit from the power and the higher speed. So I'll go for the Selkirk. I need to borrow some money to do that already. Oh, pardon me. But that's fine. So buy the Selkirk. Buy some tank cars up to just shy of 7, because I also need a caboose. And you'll be full load in Stockholm Valley. I'll rename these stations in a moment. To Kuwait East. I'm not going to bother timetabling a... Oh, didn't mean to close that. I'm not going to bother timetabling a freight train. I could, if there was enough vehicles running that I wanted to make sure there was kind of always exactly one picking up at the station. rather than having them waiting. That would be a way to approach it, but that I can come to later if I need to, which I don't think I will. I tend to keep timetables only for the express cargo. If we go, you can tell these things are express cargoes because their payment rates drop off pretty quickly or pretty precipitously. I'm not sure if there actually is. Alcohol seems pretty express as well. I'm not sure if there actually is a armored class in this set, now that I think about it. I'm sure there is, but I don't know what it is. Yeah, so for example, if I look at stone here, there's practically no fall off. It starts later and it's much more gradual. I believe how it works is the game lets you define kind of a couple of points in the in this chart, basically where it starts to drop off, and then a speed it drops off at, and then I think one more kind of inflection point and a further drop off. As you can see here, passengers and mail drop off right away, whereas you've got 70 days before the delivery value of stone drops off. So that is very much a bulk freight, not an express cargo. Let's rename these. Where is Stockholm? It's actually quite a ways away. Oh, that's all the way up there. Yeah, there's low towns. So this can be, I'll make Stockholm SKH, you'll be SKH Valley, and you will be Kuwait, can be KWT, you'll be KWT East, and my group will be oil SKHV to, that arrow indicates it's only in one direction, KWTE. And if you recall from the last game, I would name them alphabetically if they went in both directions, so the station just with the higher name in the alphabet would come first. In this case, since it is directional, it's the pickup station first and the drop-off station second. Alright, and that's going. Let's just fast forward. I just want to see what the 375,000 liters, so that's more than a month's production. But I probably could do with another vehicle on this route. Let's just see how much money we make. Oh yeah, I certainly want another one. Actually, I can already see this is enough for another train to pick up, and this one hasn't even got there. I can't quite afford it, but I'll keep this fast forwarding. Until it gets there. And yeah, the first thing I'm going to do when I have the money in is buy another one of these. And hopefully it's profitable enough for that to be worth my while. Yes, it is. That brought in about £60,000. Okay, but I do have the problem here, which I kind of anticipated now that I have two trains on this, that they can't pass. The other one is stuck in the depot because this one is moving. That obviously won't do. So I'll build a passing lane here. I'll flip you around just to force you to repass. And that's about the halfway point, right? Yes. I can always add more later. And in the long term, these point-to-point single track lines probably won't be much of what I'm doing. It is pretty realistic, though. That's one thing to keep in mind with OpenTTD kind of in general, is those big networks of, 4 tracks in one direction and 4 tracks in the other with some space apart, basically building a giant train highway. In most of the world, that's not really what rail systems look like. So this guy's waiting for a path. I could even have room for another train here right away. I certainly can't afford one yet. It's telling me that another passing lane might be a worthwhile innovation. You got to be mindful of this. I mean, how many trains you get on it. It is possible to totally kind of jam up your network. When it's built like this, you gotta... I don't know what you just did. What's your problem? That was a little strange. Make sure that these are all electrified, that there's not a gap in it, but there's not. He just bounced off something. Oh, that was weird. They're both making good money. Keep this fast forwarding for a bit longer. I mean, a good rule of thumb is to have the kind of number of sections along a stretch be enough for the number of trains you have traveling. So this is divided into 3 sections. Because trains can get stuck here, for example. Like if there was so many trains that there's a train waiting here to go this way and a train waiting here to go this way, and the station was full, the whole system would just congeal. So having like a number of sections equals the number of trains that you'll have running on their route at a time is a good rule of thumb. So do I have enough money? I think I just barely don't for another one of those. No, I need another $10,000. So I'm going to clone that one, and that'll probably be a good place to end this first episode. This was, of course, just the bootstrapping. And it looks like oil was a pretty good choice. Especially once we get 3... what's my rating like? It's good. We'll have 3 solidly profitable cargo trains. Seem to average about £50,000 a year, which is not too shabby. With surplus capacity, so I'll be making £150,000 in profit a year. There we are, that guy's in. Okay, so we'll... So make sure that was on shared orders. We'll just clone this guy. Get him started as well. So he doesn't waste any time. You see, we've got 2 dropping off cargo, 1 going back to pick up. That's perfect. Pulling in about 180,000. Well, it's only November, so we'll call it about £200,000 a year, with an operating cost of only about 50. So our margin is really, really good here, and that's perfect. That's exactly what you want for bootstrapping. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this up here. Like I said, been playing for about a year and a half in game, and we are well and bootstrapped. I think my approach is going to be kind of to grow the network organically out for now from here. So I might look at kind of other good industries here along this route that are good candidates for bringing in either more oil rigs in the immediate area. There's always the possibility of, I'm going to click the industry there, of seeing places that will take chemicals and gasoline that I can just start building up as a production chain. There's a lot of options, kind of more options than I know what to do with. Of course, a lot of them leading back to having engineering supplies that come back to this this oil rig. That's a really cool thing about FIRS, is that there's not really any kind of closed, fully closed production loops. A lot of things, both pick up and deposit, or both generate and receive cargo, kind of all the way from the top to the bottom of the production chain, which is a really cool innovation of this game. But that's going to be it for this first episode of the OpenTTD FIRS game in the FIRS series. So I'll be back pretty soon, I think, with the next episode, where we'll just keep expanding. Leave any comments if you have any feedback, if you have any questions about what I've got set up or what I've done, or any suggestions, either about this series or anything else you want to see me do. And I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.